All right, Carlton, tell us more about let's go back to the beginning and tell us about what it was like when you first got out there.
Okay, well, I'd been there the day before and seen the bird in the field like a lot of other birders, and I'd been observing for a few hours and watched his behavior and thought that something might not be quite right with the bird. Since it was staying in the same general area and not leaving, I was suspicious that it might be a bird that might be a little bit weak, because we see that a lot of times with birds in the wintertime. Partway through the winter, they're not hunting very well, they get grounded, and they're not hunting well enough to maintain their body energy. So I left my contact information with a couple of folks nearby just in case there was a problem, because this was a very special bird, obviously. And sure enough, about 24 hours later, I got a call that the bird was on the ground acting kind of suspicious and was not acting like it was normal. So I was called in and captured the bird, did a quick field examination, saw that it was indeed very emaciated, basically starving probably, and needed some professional help.
Her fortunes have turned around, though.
At this point in time, yes, they have. She's doing much, much better, gaining a lot of weight. She's on antibiotics. She's had a lot of veterinary workup, blood counts, parasite checks, all kinds of things, and she seems to be healthy, no injuries, but she does have an elevated white blood cell count, and she's been on antibiotics for quite some time, trying to get that under control.
And that's still an issue that you're working through. So you're feeding her, you're caring for her. How many people are on the team working with her right now?
Just mostly me.
Wow.
Occasionally my wife helps a little bit, but mostly just me taking care of the bird pretty intensively, and she's gaining weight, doing very, very well at this point in time. But still not out of the woods, so to speak. We're still monitoring her very closely, and she makes routine trips to the vet for blood work and that sort of thing to see if the antibiotics are working.
When you first found her, she was weighing, what, about 1 kilogram?
About a kilogram, which is a little bit over 2 pounds or so, and she should be probably at least twice that for a normal-sized bird, healthy bird her size. So she's very underweight, dangerously underweight. Probably would not have survived much longer than a while without some assistance.
And by now, she's eating how many mice a day?
Up to about 14 or 15 some days. So she's got quite an appetite. We don't want to overdo it, but we want her to gain weight as quickly as possible.
And even with that, she's picked up only about how much?
About a pound or so at this point in time. So the weight comes back slowly, but she's restricted to some small quarters, so she's not burning up a lot of energy. So most of that flying around she would normally do in a wild, all that energy is going to putting on some extra body weight.
So at the rate she's going, how much longer do you see her rehab?
Really, I could see her in rehab for another few months, actually. And when it comes to release time, it may not be until sometime in the springtime before we are able to release her again.
And how's that going to work?
We're not sure. I've been talking to a lot of people, but the latest thought is we're probably going to try to get her further up north to release her, maybe even over the border into Canada if possible, if not in the northeast United States. So we're working out some details with folks to kind of see what would be the best plan to do that, because we have this is a federally protected bird. Also, you're talking about going over borders of the United States, which is a big issue. So what we want to do, though, is just try to get the bird as close back to her natural breeding range as possible to make its survivability a better option, so that she doesn't have to fly so far to get home again.
Outstanding. Carlton is putting in an amazing amount of work, and that's what brings me around to folks like BJ and Lindley. BJ, what's it been like trying to keep tabs on all of this and helping to support Carlton and the people working with Tundra?
Well, I've actually been very blessed to be able to keep in contact with Carlton, who's given me updates, and so if people want updates, they can go to the blog, and at the bottom of that particular blog, they can see the comments and click on there, and when Carlton brings an update, I just put it on there. And it's been a slow process. I know I particularly thought, oh wow, we'll just feed the bird and boom, she'll be gone and be able to go back to her habitat, and it hasn't been the case because she's been much sicker than we thought she would be. So we do need help, and that's where the fundraiser comes in, and we would like for people to take away something from it so they have a memento, because this is not just a bird. This is what the birding community calls a life bird. If you get to see it, it'll be once in your lifetime that you will get to see a white snowy owl being from this area. There hasn't been a bird here since 1891 of this kind of bird. So Tundra's very special, and as what Carlton said, she has a name only because we don't want to refer to her as that bird, and we don't really like to refer to wildlife with a name, but we do need to call her something. So Carlton was great in naming her the perfect name, and that was after her habitat, Tundra. So we'll just keep blogging, let people know, and you have that on your website, and basically basically, people can Google my blog, which is Brenda Jean Doing the Right Thing.blogspot.com, and check on her. There's pictures of her on there as well that were taken by Steve Atkins from Fox Code Photography, who's been so kind. And that's the one thing I want to get to folks, is that this bird is so special that everybody's been so kind to give their time and their efforts, including Carlton, and that's what the fundraiser's for. And none of us thought we'd be buying Christmas presents of mice, but if you would like to help as well, they're a great present for Tundra. And
so what does it take? I mean, between the medicine and the mice and the transportation, I don't know, Carlton or BJ, you can tell us, what does it take on a day-to-day basis to care for the bird?
Well, routine medication, observing the bird, that sort of thing, taking the bird in and out, getting the medicine down the bird, feeding, cleaning it, that sort of thing. So any kind of animal, there's always a lot of routine daily things that have to be done. Tundra's not a really big problem compared to some other animals you could care for, but it is a daily thing that takes a good bit of time.
And what about just financial resources? What does it take to maintain the bird's health and feeding?
Yeah, well, luckily a lot of the veterinary care has been donated by one of the local veterinarians, but we do have to buy food for the bird, and since we want to keep it on a natural diet as much as possible, that means mostly rodents, which we have to have shipped in from out of state, and as much as she's eating, it becomes pretty expensive over the long haul, and over several months of time you can see how those expenses could add up.
So it's time for a fundraiser, and Lindley, why don't you tell us how you got connected with the store?
Well, I met BJ a few months ago. She moved to the area, and her attitude, her happiness, and her zest for anything she chooses to focus on is really contagious. So she approached me the other day in need of a place to have this fundraiser, and I mean, I was on board immediately. This is a new store. It's a great place to have a bunch of people that are ready to have a great time come together. There's plenty of space, and it helps. I wanted to extend some southern hospitality to our wonderful, friend that has graced us with her presence all the way from so far away.
Yeah. So he wants to give us the details. It's a $40 fundraiser. And what does that get you when you walk in the door?
Well, you can bring your own wine, and you can paint, and you will walk away with your own painting of, and we'll show you that at the end of this video, the painting of a moonlit, snowy scene with an owl. So you'll have your own memento of Tundra to take back with you, and half of those proceeds, which normally paint and design Wine and Design, does this program with Paint on Wheels. They'll come to a place. They only give 25%. So they've been again, this owl's so special. They really were touched by this story. They're going to give 50% of these proceeds back to the owl and help us out. So people who just don't want to paint or don't think they can, I didn't think I could either. And these people are very special. They really help bring out the painter in all of us, and you can walk away with this painting, or if you choose just to come and watch, we'd love for you to come out and just be a part of this process.
So $20 is going to be a meaningful donation that's going to help Tundra a lot.
Well, that will pay for a day of mice. So yeah, it really makes a big difference.
So people can also come and just donate. They can come and observe and just have a good time. What else is going to be happening on that night? Is there going to be some music in the store?
There may be. I'm working on that.
So what else should people know? How are we gonna move forward from here? Just maintaining day by day?
Just day by day, more veterinary tests, more blood tests after a second round of antibiotics that the bird is on now to see if that's working. At some point she'll be transferred to an outdoor enclosure, which will strengthen her wings, continue gaining weight, check her to make sure she can still effectively hunt her prey. She may have to molt and get some new feathers in. And we'll just take it day by day, and hopefully sometime in the spring we'll be able to announce where Tundra is going and when.
Well, thank you, Will and Carlton and BJ and Lindley, for sharing all the work that you're doing with Tundra and giving an opportunity to the rest of the community to get involved. And now we're going to take a look around and show everybody the sites and get them excited about January the 25th. Right, it's a Saturday night
at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock here at Consignments, which is in the Goodwill Shopping Center, kind of catty corner, right behind Tractor Supply Company.
Nashville Highway in Brevard, North Carolina.
Awesome. I'm going to say all of that again because that was really bad. So thank you very much for being with us, Will and Carlton and BJ and Lindley. We're here at Consignments, and the event is going to be on Saturday, January the 25th at 6 p.m., and we're here right next door to Tractor Supply Company in the Goodwill Shopping Center on the Asheville Highway in Brevard. And this is an event open to everybody. It's a bring your own, so it's an open door for people who want to come and enjoy themselves, get involved as much as they want. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Great. Excellent.